Hi guys, welcome back to the Drive Life channel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about how to hypermile your D5 Volvo. So if you don't know what hypermiling is, it's basically how to get the most miles per gallon from your car, the best fuel consumption or the least fuel consumption, if that makes sense. So there's a few little techniques that you can do to really eke out the extra miles, and actually on a car like this, going from 35 to 40 mpg on average can save you quite a bit of money per tank, especially when we're putting in a lot of gallons in this thing. This car is about £95 to fill up, and if you can get 50 plus mpg, you're looking at nearly 1,000 miles range on a tank. So it's definitely something that's worth considering, or you can get 500 miles to a tank if you hoon it around, or even less than that. So yeah, in this video I'm going to share with you a few little techniques that I use to get better MPG on my Volvo, and it would be great if you guys could let me know what you guys do as well. So let's get straight into it. So the first thing, and perhaps the most important thing, is to consider your contact with the road. And now I don't mean skidding along or anything, I mean the tyres themselves. Now different tyres have different economy ratings. To be honest, the difference isn't that mega. I mean, these are Michelin cross climates, and as you can see they're quite an aggressive tread. They're not rated that well for fuel economy, but I prioritise grip and safety over fuel economy, to be honest. So that's why I've gone for these tyres. But actually, what's more important than the economy rating is actually the tyre pressures themselves. Now, if your tyres are underinflated, the fuel used is going to be massive. Obviously, a flatter tyre gives more rolling resistance and uses more fuel, or requires more fuel to drive them. So that is something that really does make a difference. I mean, even a few PSI can add 5 mpg. So really make sure that you're checking. I mean, we should be checking them every month, but checking these tyres, I check mine every week, just because it is so much easier just to keep on top of them, and it does save you money in the long run as well, for perhaps 10 minutes work. So definitely keep an eye on the tyre pressures, because these can have a massive effect on how much fuel you use. And it goes for the back as well. Obviously it's not just the drive wheels, these can act like anchors if they're flat, so make sure you keep these up as well. And also you need to consider, if you've got load in your car, if you're carrying extra people, or you're carrying lots of luggage, or you're towing or anything like that, just take a look at the pressures in the diagram, because actually they specify different pressures for the amount of stuff you've got in it. So you could be running a lower pressure than you need to, because you've got extra stuff in. So make sure you just check out which one sort of applies to you best, and make sure your tyres are up to snuff in terms of pressure on them. Now the next thing is going to be oil changes. Now obviously the engine needs to be efficient and run well, and if you're overdue an oil change, that oil is going to add internal resistance, which again is going to use more fuel, because essentially resistance means more fuel is needed to get the car moving. So make sure you definitely keep an eye on oil changes. I like to change mine every sort of 5 to 10,000 miles. 7,500 is my optimum, but obviously sometimes budgets or time don't quite allow that. So yeah, just try and keep on top of those oil changes, because it really does make an absolutely massive difference. What you can find sometimes is if you bung a load of new oil in, you'll find that the car is slightly less efficient until that oil beds in, and that's fine. Just bear in mind that might be the case, but it's not any issues or anything like that. It's just because oil takes time to bed into the car, so bear that in mind as well. Now that's sort of preparation things. Obviously lightness, if you don't need all the crap in the boot of your car, then don't have it in there, because any extra weight means extra fuel used. It's a simple little concept really. So let's get on now to more of the driving techniques. I'm a hiccup there. So I'm going to get inside the car for this, because it's much more about the controls and how you use them, rather than the outside of the car itself. So obviously you're very familiar with this cockpit. Now how many of you actually pay attention to what's going on down here in terms of what you've gun activated, what's going on. Now, you'll be amazed at how much sort of extra energy heated seats use. AC when you don't need it on. Auto recirculation, demisters, everything. All of that, it takes up fuel. Cars such as Vauxhalls and everything like that, they'll actually give you a display in the instrument cluster of the amount of gallons per hour that is using, because actually it is quite staggering. So if you're sort of looking for better economy, bear in mind whether you really need to use the heated seats. If you always leave your car with AC on, how about knocking it off? Because actually it does make a huge difference. I got an extra sort of 5 mpg by just turning the AC on. And realistically, this time of year when it's 13 degrees outside, we don't want cooler air really, do we? So it's yeah, something to bear in mind. Also, demisters. These cars have automatic rear defrosters. Again, just saps energy. It's something called electromotive force or electromotive resistance, where it's the more energy that is required, it will put tension on the alternator and will essentially use more fuel. It puts more resistance in the engine, so just bear that in mind as well. And again, recirculating air is one of these. I can't remember which one's best. I just leave it in auto, to be honest. One of them is better for economy, but yeah. Obviously I don't use that one very often. So yeah, those are a few things that you can bear in mind in terms of what you can do and turn off inside the car. Obviously, if it's a cold day and you're freezing, stick the heated seat on, but don't leave it on for the whole journey. Just turn it off because you don't really need it. Now, in terms of driving dynamics and style and everything, in this car, I need to stress this car has something called a passive cruise control system, which means it cannot control the brakes. It will literally maintain the car's speed. And these types of cruise control systems are the best for hypermiling, fuel economy runs, etc. Because on the motorway, you can stick this car at 50, 60, 70 miles an hour, and it will stick at that speed until you come to a hill. And it will stick at that speed all the way up the hill, and then when you get down to speed, it will freewheel. Whereas on the Mercedes and more newer cars, the car will continue to brake. So a lot of people advise not to use the cruise control. However, on a passive system rather than the active, it is definitely the best way forward. Now, what this does is it allows you to maintain a good cruising speed without sort of using unnecessary fuel. Volvo have calibrated this to use the least amount of fuel possible whilst in cruise control. So bear that in mind when you're driving. If you're on a nice straight road or even a country road, stick the cruise control on. Now, the optimum for cars like this is 56 miles per hour. I've done my homework. And it really does make a difference. On an A road, if you stick your car on 56 miles an hour rather than 60, you save about 4 or 5 miles per gallon, which over 15 gallons is over 60 miles of fuel. So bear that in mind. That was quick YouTube maths, so yeah, I think that's about right. So yeah, bear that in mind. Consider your speed, because a lot of the time you're having to brake anyway from 60. Whereas sort of 56, you can maintain a decent speed. And that's also what lorries are limited to on A roads as well. So bear that in mind. You've then got things like gliding. Now, this is an automatic transmission. There's no bunging it into neutral. That is terrible for the transmission. Don't ever do that. It can also be quite dangerous if you put it into neutral while you're driving. Leave it in drive and just allow the car to freewheel as you come up to junctions. If you're anticipating that you'll need to stop, then just ease off the pedal rather than putting the brakes on. Because again, the whole time while you've got your foot on the accelerator pedal, you're essentially burning fuel and your money. So bear that in mind and try and coast as much as you can, because if you can coast 300 meters, that's 300 meters worth of fuel you haven't used. So yeah, it's an interesting concept. Now, the American hypermilers, and these are guys that use Priuses and everything like that, they'll try and get over 100 mpg by tailgating lorries, driving at 50 miles an hour on a motorway. Those guys are absolutely nuts, and I'm not trying to advocate any of that. It's just really a few little things that you guys can do to save a bit of money on fuel, because these aren't the most economical cars, but actually if you know how they work and know how to use them, then you can really eke some good fuel mileage out of them. So I went on a motorway trip yesterday, and averaged 53 mpg. I had the cruise control set at 65, and I literally just sat back and enjoyed the ride. Had the cruise control on, had my AC off and everything like that, and the car really was happy. I'd made sure the tyre pressures were all good, and yeah, that was all I needed to do to get good fuel mileage out of the car. So with consumption like that, I would have been looking at nearly 1,000 miles for this tank, which is absolutely mega. Just imagine how you can travel all the way into Europe, down to Spain, on one tank of fuel, which is less than £100, and that's cheaper than flying, isn't it? So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you guys use any of these techniques, or whether you don't care about fuel economy and you just like to drive. Be interested to know your guys' opinions. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.